Hello and welcome to the trade setup. In this video we are looking at NuScale power. It is time for another update, and on this chart we have been tracking this idea of a potential double 1-2-1-2 setup that could have allowed us to track a very significant wave 3 to the upside, but the condition was to hold here the area of support for the correction within the wave 2. And while we only got a somewhat brief break, it is not nothing. It's not just a week below it. It's not necessarily something we can shrug off too easily, and we may need to be prepared for further continuation to the downside. Now, even though this structure could have bottomed and we could have seen a more significant bottom and even form continuation higher, this interpretation has not become invalidated. We need to break certain levels of resistance for a more clear signal that we will indeed succeed in creating such a movement. Now, in the end, I mentioned this in the previous videos as well, we were expecting a more significant relief rally to occur within this area, and it's not a surprise that it's happening. It's not a surprise that we are getting back within the area of support, but the break below it certainly did hurt the reliability of this potential 1-2 setup. And for a more clear signal that we are going to extend higher, we will need to see this chart basically prove itself in a smaller time frame, confirm by creating some initial 5-wave move to the upside on a somewhat respectable scale, and then we may be looking once again for a potential 1-2 setup internally that could allow a more significant push to the upside to have actually started. Now, the yellow scenario remains still applicable. We may have already topped within this wave 2, and we will have several resistance levels we need to break before we can actually look with a high probability at a third wave within the white interpretation to actually work out, but we have also managed to get into the yellow area of support, although within this interpretation I would still expect a larger correction if it really is to play out within this pattern in yellow, because already we have a potential 5-wave move to the downside within this area, and while in the white scenario we can more easily consider that this was a wave 1 top, and we have here an overshoot within a wave B in something like an ABC movement that could allow a bottom to be in place. In the yellow interpretation, this is not necessarily as likely, and we would rather expect this to be an initial wave A to the downside at the least. Now, internally within this structure, I may actually be able to see applicable further continuation lower within multiple scenarios actually, and I'm going to go from the smaller to larger time frame, but here in this area, within this last move to the downside, we have been tracking a wave 5. We were looking for an ABC movement to be developing, and while we certainly can track such a structure still, and it is possible, we are tracking this for a potential bottom, I do also see the possibility for further extensions lower, because I could also track this now as a 5-wave move to the downside in something like a 1-2, or even this works, a 1-2, third, fourth, and the fifth. The exact structure doesn't matter too much. The main idea remains that this could be counted as a 5-wave move to the downside, meaning a larger ABC movement could occur even within this wave 5. Even within the smaller time frame, wave 5, I could actually drag down to the latest levels, the latest lows, the area of resistance for a potential AB setup, and we can see we have not managed to break it. And then there is actually even a third scenario that could actually allow extensions lower. That would be something like a wave 1 down, a wave 2 up, a third wave down that actually extended all the way down here in an ABC movement, where then we would expect a fourth and a fifth to form a larger wave C within a larger wave 3, where the wave 3 would not have bottomed yet. We would see still an extension lower, still a wave 4, and still a fifth wave to come. Now, we won't be focusing on all of them. We will at the moment be tracking here an internal extension lower within this ABC movement to the downside, and then if we manage to actually break this, I would be watching instead and focusing on the next interpretation, which is for a larger wave C to develop within this area, where this could be something for a wave 4 correction in a 1, 2, 3, fourth, and a fifth. In this scenario, we need to keep aware that we have basically gotten now perfectly into the ideal target for a wave 4, and we have reacted to it. Now, it's not a massive reaction, but we did get our initial reaction from this series of green candles. And then if we actually manage to break here above the 61.8% retracement, I would start to have a better consideration for a more significant bottom to already be in place. This interpretation where we would be tracking a larger ABC movement, it's not necessarily a particularly high probability scenario, and I would most likely focus on the next tier of resistances, which would be for a larger wave 3 to have taken place. Then we would need to be tracking a larger wave 4 correction, but already we would start looking at a more significant push here into a wave 4, although yeah, it would be decently close still to the area of resistance that we would be tracking here in the orange interpretation, or not the orange, the blue interpretation. And for now, unfortunately, to the upside we don't have anything too reliable. I would actually argue that within this push we may manage to form an initial 5-way move to the upside, where here we may have a tiny 1-2 setup, a third, fourth, and the fifth to be developing, where within the wave 5 we would only need here to form the fourth and the fifth to have a complete 5-way move to the upside. But this is on such a small time frame that it is highly unreliable, and we could just as easily consider this an ABC movement complete, where then we would be able to just directly resume the overall push to the downside. And what I would instead like to see for us to manage to get a more significant push to the upside would actually be a more direct breakout, yeah, a quite significant break into higher prices, yeah, possibly directly even beyond the last level of resistance in the blue area, where this could be something like a series of 1-2 setups, and here the latest 1-2 setup, where again I would need to see quite a serious break for a chance to have already bottomed in a more reliable fashion, because once again this structure is not that. This structure is not reliable even if we manage to get here the fifth for a potential 1-2 setup, and we would need to form it on a larger scale. Yeah, this 5-way move to the upside would need to be formed within something like a 1-2, 1-2, 3, 4th, 5th, 4th, 5th. Then we may have something that could work out in our interest for a larger 1-2 setup. But unfortunately, on the smaller time frame, there is nothing reliable, and we need to be patient to get a break above those levels. And right now, yeah, there isn't much support to be looking for here in the smaller time frame, except, yeah, as I was mentioning, maybe here an internal 1-2 setup that we can track, where already a break below the 50% retracement here, which was not achieved just yet, yeah, but a break below that level would signal to me that it is likely not going to succeed. Even though this is a 1-2 setup and it may have a deeper retracement within such a series of potential 1-2 setups, it is likely not going to work out already below the $15.9 level. It is already a very early signal that this structure, yeah, would not manage to form a more reliable impulse to the upside that could be able to be tracked within a larger reliable pattern. And for now, these are the levels, this is the trade setup. I hope you enjoyed the video, and if you did, don't forget to subscribe and let me know what else you want me to cover, and I'll do my best to do that in the days and weeks ahead. And until then, I hope you have a nice day, and I hope to see you in the next video. Bye bye.